Age of Conan, one of those older MMORPGs that actually ended up aging well for once. So for us MMORPG fans looking for a game to play in this dwindling MMORPG market, it's time to look back. Back at the classic and brutal game Age of Conan Unchained. Let's see if after all of this time it is a game worth returning to. At least in my opinion, as yours may differ. Age of Conan is one of those rare MMORPGs that actually have nudity that makes a bit more sense than something like Scarlet Blade, which is tits out Friday, but every day is Friday. So, yeah, you get the picture. Besides naked people running around in this game, Age of Conan is, if you were unaware, a fantasy-themed barbarian MMO, with a huge world to explore. Each region is, of course, instanced off. However, the regions are so large, it truly doesn't feel like it is an instance MMORPG. You'd have to be a crazy person to want to run to the edge of the map, just to see that you can't get any further. Whilst playing Age of Conan, it didn't take long for me to figure out that this was a more complicated MMORPG than it initially seemed. Not only because the combat is unique for an action combat system, but that the game itself is incredibly hard, punishingly hard. Excruciatingly hard, which I found out the hard way many times at many different locations, unfortunately. It should be renamed Age of Death rather than Age of Conan. But, of course, I did find this enjoyable. It makes the game way more intense knowing that you might get ambushed by a second monster, and if that does happen, you will probably end up dying. Unless you perform your attack combos correctly, making a mistake in this game can be the difference between teabagging said beastie that tried to murder you, or, on the flip side, you getting your insides feasted upon by a cannibalistic tribe of demon worshippers. Oh, god damn it. Did I mention this game has a lot of death? Moving on to the combat section of Age of Conan, and this is a very important part because you will be fighting a lot of the time. The combat uses your weapon swing directions in junction with your skills, which perform combos. Except, instead of that being determined by your actual movements, as in WASD, you have to use the left, up, and right hotkey, which is attached to 1, 2, and 3. This makes the combat that much more challenging and engaging. Not only that, but you can swap between your weapon sets during combat, allowing you to, if you've got a ranged ability or weapon, use that in combat with the rest of your skills once they make it close. Now, despite the combat, as I mentioned earlier, the world in Age of Conan is quite vast, almost giving you that feeling you're playing an older single-player RPG as you can go off the beaten path, explore and find hidden areas or quests. Some hidden areas are quite in your face, and are locked behind something simplistic, like a climbing skill. So this game really rewards exploration, which is nice for a change, as so many MMORPGs focus on progressing through the game as fast as possible so you can reach the end game content and then be done with the game and complain that there's no more content. Whereas Age of Conan feels like an MMORPG you could take your time with, completing all the little side quests and enjoying it. Keep in mind that nothing in this game really feels like a side mission, as everything feels main due to the dialogue and dialogue options you get during the game, especially because all of the dialogue you do participate through is fully voiced, with sometimes cringy voice actors, but hey, it happens. Now, something that is important for every MMORPG is the player population, and for Age of Conan, it isn't the highest of course, but it does still have a pretty decent player population, as I did encounter quite a few people while I was leveling up and exploring, but nothing like newer MMORPGs released. Then there is the fact that there is another Conan game, not necessarily an MMORPG, but the player base has leaked over to that bit by bit. So from the time I've played and from what I've seen, Age of Conan seems to be an overlooked MMORPG. It doesn't have the most beautiful character graphics ever, but the scenery in Age of Conan holds up very well in today's standards. The combat incorporates a twist of the normal action combat systems you might encounter, making it engaging and fun, unleashing combos and murdering all the cretins. The instances are large enough to fool you into thinking it's an open world. The story and questing system feels less like you're on a race to see who can finish first, and more like you're playing a single-player game with a narrative following your journey from a simple slave to something much more, like maybe a barbarian. There's no question that Age of Conan feels better than a lot of free-to-play MMORPGs, and it's due to the fact that this used to be a paid MMORPG, and it really shows. So I can honestly say Age of Conan is an MMORPG well worth trying out, whether you want to play by yourself or with a friend. It's an enjoyable experience, and it feels very different to the majority of MMORPGs I have played, and I've played a lot of different types. That being said, I would like to know what you guys think. Is Age of Conan worth investing time into? Anyway guys, thank you for watching as always. Don't forget to check out my Twitter if you'd like to stay updated with everything that I post. But for now, good day, night, or afternoon, wherever it is where you are, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video.